Our next speaker is Oscar Prado. He's Associate Professor at Autonomous University of Barcelona, and he's CEO at the Aeris Tecnologías Ambientales, a spin-off of this university. He did his PhD in the University of A Coruña, where he obtained his the PhD Extraordinary Quality Prize in the topic of industrial gas emission treatment. He has published more than 30 papers in the field of deodorization and has led to the implementation of dozens of industrial bioreactors for air treatment. So, Oscar, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Egunon. It's a pleasure being here after such a long time. The work that I'm going to present today has been done in collaboration between three entities: Depuración de Aguas del Mediterráneo, DAM, Aeris Tecnologías Ambientales, Environmental Technologies, which is the company I run, and the Catalan administration, la Agencia Catalana del Agua. And as you can see, it will deal with the optimization of the deodorization of a coastal wastewater treatment plant through biological processes. So, 22 years ago, when I started doing research on biological technologies for gas deodorization, what we understood by optimization dealt mostly with improvement of the gas transfer of the gaseous pollutants to the liquid phase, and also of the enhancement of the activity of the microbes, so to adapt to new situations and of course, ultimately, to make the systems as reliable and cost-effective as possible. So a long time has passed, and many advancements have been made, but ultimately, the objective or the definition of this optimization remains the same. We're still trying to improve the mass transfer of the gaseous pollutants to the liquid phase. We're still trying to enhance the activity of the microbes, and of course, we're still trying to make these systems as reliable and as cost-effective as possible. So this is what this work will target. So what you can see here is an aerial view of the wastewater treatment plant of Torredembarra in northern Tarragona in Spain. It's pretty representative of an average coastal wastewater treatment plant in Spain, meaning that it's relatively close to a very important touristic town, which is like 300 meters away. And this is the situation of the plant by 2070. As you can see, comprising 12 different systems for deodorization, right? What we can see there, depicted in yellow, is 6 different chemical scrubbers giving service to different areas of the plant. Also, in green, we can see the location of 3 different adsorption systems based on granular activated carbon. And also in red, we can see the picture there, 3 different conventional biofilters, which by 2017 were already out of operation. So as you can see, this plant comprised many different systems for deodorization. These were quite scattered throughout the plant. And also the efficiency was relatively low, leading to frequent complaints from the citizens and even some safety issues in the plant. So this led the managing entity and the Catalan administration to do an assessment on the operation in the system of the systems. Also, having into account that the operating cost was pretty high, right? We're talking about an installed power of 75 kilowatts hour per hour, which is quite big. And also the consumption of chemicals was quite high, 15 cubic meters a year of sulfuric acid, around 60 cubic meters a year of caustic, and around 450 cubic meters a year of bleach. So yeah, you can imagine that the cost was pretty high. So the operating entity and the Catalan administration contacted Aeris in order, first of all, to perform an assessment of the situation of the plant, otherwise, right? So first of all, we did a study on which were the main areas in the plant in which odors were produced. And of course, we saw nothing really special here, right? So the main problems, of course, were in the pretreatment, in the primary settlers, there in the right, and of course in the sludge management area, with special emphasis on the watering building. So that's when the optimization of the plant begins. No? And again, the objective of this work was to increase the reliability of the deodorization while at the same time trying to decrease the costs, okay? So we did that by acting in 3 different directions, by optimizing the enclosure, also the extraction of the full air, and finally the treatment of the air, okay? So, first of all, regarding the enclosure of the systems, you can see the situation of the primary settlers before any actuation was done. You can see that these were covered by these fancy domes there, really nice, but each of these contained around 3,000 cubic meters of air. So this means that it's a huge amount of air that you need to pump and that you need to treat. Also, the outlet ring of the settler was open, was exposed. So the first thing that was done here was to cover these outlet rings, okay, and to include there some extracting fans for the ambient air. So similarly, this is the state of the grid chamber before the actuations. You can see that it was open, and these were closed, okay? So, once all the relevant areas had been defined, we decided to segregate the plant in 3 different areas for a better management of the air. So you can see what we call area 1 is the one in the, let's say, northwest, in the top left of the figure, which covers this latch management. There's area 2 in the lower side, mostly covering the pretreatment, and there's area 3 on the right side, giving service to the thickeners, to the settlers, okay? So, the actions that were made here led to a decrease in the power consumption around 4-fold, and no more chemicals needed to be used. And now I will tell you about what we did on each of these areas. This is area 1, giving service to the dewatering building and to the thickeners. Here what we did was to design and to implement a biotrickling filter for treating around 3,500 cubic meters an hour of foul air, which had a very variable but also very high concentration of H2S, reaching up to 800 ppm. So here you can see the results. These are data from this same summer. We're seeing 4 months of operation of the system. In the figure in the left, you can see in red, orange, the inlet concentrations of H2S. Please note that our sensor could only reach 500 ppm. We have proof that values as high as 750 ppm were reached. Okay. In yellow, you can see the outlet concentration, which had an average value of around 2 ppm. So their removal efficiency had an average value above 99.2%, which is, in terms of H2S, I believe, really, really high. In the right, you can see this traditional depiction of the H2S, the inlet load, in grams per cubic meter an hour, versus the elimination capacity in the same units. And you can see that we have this perfect straight line, meaning that the critical load was not attained here. You know that for this compound, for H2S, usually we work considering critical loads of around 80 to 100 grams per cubic meter an hour, right? Meaning that this is the value at which the efficiency significantly differs from 100. So at values as high as 135 grams per cubic meter an hour, we couldn't reach the critical load. So this is pretty good news. So this is area 2, right, covering the latch storage tank and the pretreatment. The same approach was followed here. No? So we had a very similar flow rate, 4,000 cubic meters an hour, lower inlet H2S concentrations up to 170 ppm, and yeah, in this case, the removal efficiency was even higher with average values of 100%. So yeah, this is nice. And finally, for the remaining area, which was the primary settlers and some distribution tanks prior to the secondary reactors, what we did was to apply this protocol that most of you already know, developed by Professors David Gabriel and Marc Desius in 2003, which tells us how to convert, how to retrofit chemical scrubbers into biotrickling filters. So what we did this last year was to follow that protocol with minor modifications. for the treatment of this air. So it's 7,000 cubic meters an hour of air containing up to 230 ppm of H2S. And once again, the inlet concentration was quite variable. But the outlet concentration of H2S was consistently of 0.0 ppm. So yeah, this is pretty nice results as well. So just a few take-home ideas for you. First of all, when you want to deodorize a wastewater treatment plant, you need to consider the actions that you're going to undertake integrally. This means considering how to enclose, how to move the air, and also how to treat it. I also would like to tell you that biological technologies have proved to be quite adequate for deodorization in wastewater treatment plants with efficiencies consistently above 99%. And finally, in this case, the operating costs were dramatically reduced around sixfold. The return on investment time for this actuation was around 1.5 years, and no citizen complaints have been found afterwards. So, this is pretty much it from my side. Thank you very much for your attention. Eskerrik asko.
Okay, thank you very much, Oscar, for this interesting and valuable work. We have time for a couple of questions from the audience. A lot of people from the monitoring and other assessment side in the room.
Okay, tengo una pregunta. I have a question. ¿Nos puedes contar? Muchas veces los sistemas biológicos no se ponen en depuradoras más pequeñas que tienen fuentes de emisión discontinuas de olor porque requiere una alimentación continua. ¿Nos puedes comentar algo sobre la eficiencia de eliminación cuando hay paradas en los biofiltros, los periodos de inanición máximos? Y si se consigue, ¿cuánto tiempo se tarda en llegar a esos rendimientos en los arranques y paradas?
Sí. De hecho, en alguna de las ponencias anteriores se ha tocado este tema, creo yo, bastante adecuadamente, sobre todo para concentraciones o para condiciones muy variables, como habitualmente vemos en determinados casos industriales. No siempre estamos ante la mejor opción. Lo primero que tenemos que hacer es siempre valorar, ¿no?, cuál es la corriente, qué condiciones tiene esta corriente y actuar en consecuencia. Con esto lo que quiero decir es que los sistemas biológicos, ¿no?, si bien suelen ser económicamente bastante fiables en cuanto a eficacia también, para determinadas condiciones no son óptimos. Y una de estas condiciones, en las cuales quizás no sean óptimos, son para depuradoras quizás de muy pequeño tamaño, en los cuales, pues como es habitual en estas, pues puedes tener concentraciones bastante variables de compuestos. En este caso, quizás, como digo, valdría la pena valorarlo con mucho cuidado, pero una opción interesante podría ser la absorción, ¿no?, absorción reactiva, o quizás la adsorción. Sí.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much.